Good evening and welcome to the Somerville Redevelopment Authority meeting of November 24th, 2025. My name is Phil Ercolini. I'm chair of the Somerville Redevelopment Authority and call this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this public meeting of the SRA is being conducted via remote participation. This session will be recorded and will be a public record. I'll now ask the board members to confirm their attendance, and I'll do so in alphabetical order. Courtney Brunson,
Here.
Ben Ewan Campen,
Here.
William Gage,
Here.
Patrick McCormick,
Here.
Christine Stone,
Here.
and myself, Phil Ercolini, are in attendance. And we do have a quorum, so I'll now ask city staff to present a few of the house rules about the technology. Ben?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Demers. I'm a senior planner in economic development with the city of Somerville, and I also serve as the staff support to the Somerville Redevelopment Authority, or the SRA, as we'll refer to it this evening. Just want to make a few notes. So when an agenda item is being presented this evening, any presentation materials that staff have received ahead of time will be displayed on the screen. And if participants wish to direct the board's attention to any specific page, they should verbally note which page staff should show on the screen and should verbally explain to the board what is being shown. Please also note that this meeting is being conducted remotely using Zoom webinar in order to comply with the state's open meeting law, which doesn't allow for what is called side conversation. The chat function amongst attendees has been disabled. If you do, as an attendee, have a question or would like to make a comment on any of the matters discussed this evening, please use the raise hand function to indicate that you would like to speak. I'll be looking at the participants tab on Zoom and I'll unmute participants one by one and give you 2 minutes to speak. If you do make comment, please clearly state your name and address before saying anything else. And then after 2 minutes, your microphone will be muted. Please also remember that any questions asked by attendees this evening will be a part of the open record. And I also want to remind all board members that all votes must be roll call votes with a motion and a second. And I'll pass things back to you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Ben. So we'll go right to the agenda, and item number 1 is approval of the minutes of the October 14th, 2025 general meeting and the November 6th, 2025 joint meeting of the SRA and the Land Use Committee of the Somerville City Council. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yeah.
Any comments? Any edits? Okay, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Patrick McCormick moves. Is there a second? Christine Stone seconds. We'll do a roll call vote. Courtney Brunson,
Yes.
Ben Ewan Campen,
Yes.
William Gage,
Yes.
Patrick McCormick,
Yes.
Christine Stone,
Yes.
and myself, Phil Ercolini, have approved the minutes of both October 14th and November 6th. The second item on the agenda is a public comment period, and I'll defer to Ben on that if there are any members of the public who want to address the SRA at this time.
Through Mr. Chair, we currently have 2 members of the public in attendance. I can just give a moment if anybody wants to raise their hand to make public comment. Please also note that if you want to make comment related to any items that we're addressing this evening, we generally can pause during the item for that comment. And Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing any hands.
All right, thank you, Ben. The next item on the agenda is item number 3, which is 90 Washington Street. And point A is a project update.
Through Mr. Chair, I apologize. The copy of the agenda that you have that I had initially sent over is not the one that was posted to the website, which is the third item should be nominations and election for SRA board secretary.
Okay, all right. Well, let's do that. I'm going to defer to you, Ben, on that because I don't have that.
Okay, thank you. And the rest of the agenda is in the same order. I apologize for that.
Okay. All right, so we're entertaining nominations as to fill the open position of Awana Bani. And Bill?
I'd like to nominate Christine Stone.
Christine Stone. There's a nomination for Christine Stone. Is there a second on that?
Second nomination with enthusiasm.
Courtney Brunson is seconding that nomination with enthusiasm. I'll entertain a roll call. Do we need a vote on this, Ben? Roll call vote?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do need a vote, but we also, I think, need an acceptance of the nomination. So I do
Oh,
just
I
want to
see.
confirm with Member Stone that you accept the nomination.
I'm happy to accept the nomination. Couldn't be happier, and I'm looking forward to playing that role and helping the city and the redevelopment authority advance their agenda.
So that's the acceptance speech, Christine? Okay.
100%.
Okay, great. All right,
Through
we'll
you-
do a roll. Sorry?
I was just going to say, through you, Mr. Chair, I can bring up exact vote language if that is helpful. Let me just share my screen. It's just specific language that
Needs to be a,
yes. Councilor Ewan Camp, and I see also has his hand raised.
okay.
I have no idea if it applies here. On the city council, we have to make a motion to close nominations and vote on that. I don't know if it will matter formally here, but if so, I move to close nominations.
All right, we'll do that
I will
second.
second if it matters.
Okay, Courtney Brunson seconds, and we'll do a roll call vote on that. Courtney Brunson,
Yay.
Ben Ewan Campen,
Yes.
William Gage,
Yes.
Patrick McCormick,
Yes.
Christine Stone, and myself.
Yes, I guess I
Still
vote for
Colleen.
myself. Yes.
All right, closing nominations. So now we'll do a vote to approve Christine as our
Oh,
secretary.
right,
So
yeah.
Through
so-
Mr. Sorry, through Mr. Chair, there should be language now that's visible
All right.
that just Attorney Salker just asked me to use specific language.
All right, do you want me to read this aloud, or is this sufficient to just?
If you want to read this aloud, and then we can ask for a second and then do a roll call.
Okay, so we have before us a request to vote to approve Christine Stone as Secretary of the Somerville Redevelopment Authority, in which role they'll be responsible for certifying SRA votes and signing documents on behalf of the SRA when the chair is unable to. So I will now accept a roll call vote, and we have approval for that. We have a,
Provide
we'll just need a second.
to that vote of approval.
okay, and Courtney Brunson seconds that approval. So we'll do a roll call vote. Courtney Brunson,
Yes.
Ben Ewan Campen,
Yes.
William Gage,
Yes.
Patrick McCormick,
Yes.
Christine Stone,
Yes.
and myself, Phil Ercolini. We have a quorum, and we voted to approve Christine as our secretary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great. So now we can, the next item on the agenda being a project update for 90 Washington Street. Is that correct, Ben? For your revised agenda?
To the chair, that's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I can take both this item and part B of this item. So the vote requesting the approval of the demonstration project plan and the memorandum of agreement together. So let me just pull up some slides. All right, can everyone see these slides?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't want to take too long on this because I know we spent a while presenting and then answered some questions at the November 6th joint hearing or hearing at the joint session with the Land Use Committee of the City Council, but just kind of want to orient everyone to the votes that we are requesting for this evening. So I'll talk quickly about just kind of get us back in the headspace talking about the changes to the 90 Washington Street demonstration project plan and the accompanying memorandum of agreement that the City Council and the SRA signed in February of 2019. And then I'll give you a little bit of a sense of the next steps. So just a reminder, the guiding documents for the process for redeveloping 90 Washington Street are the 90 Washington Street Demonstration Project Plan, or the DPP. This is the more detailed document that also was approved by the Council and the SRA in February of 2019. And this was really the basis of the urban renewal process starting as managed by the SRA. And then at the same time, the Council and the SRA also entered into a memorandum of agreement. And this just laid out some additional expectations between the bodies. And just to summarize again what the updates, so currently staff are requesting updates to these guiding documents to both reflect some overall changes in the direction of the project, and then also to slightly change the process that is laid out, although for the most part, we are following the steps that are really laid out in the demonstration project plan. So the changes that we are recommending are removing the goal of developing a public safety building as part of the project, and then also adding a goal to recoup funds spent on the taking. Again, I won't go too much into the history in this presentation, but obviously the priority for the project has changed to really recouping the funds that were lost in the initial taking of 90 Washington Street. We also then are updating the documents to replace what is referred to as a technical advisory committee that is meant to be reviewing RFP proposals with the civic advisory committee. And this really is just to match current standards for SRA and council processes. And so for any active urban renewal plan or project that the SRA is overseeing, the expectation that has been set ever since 2021 with the Winter Hill Urban Renewal Plan has been that there is a civic advisory committee that is meeting regularly to give community input into project implementation. So it would make those updates. And then the one process step that we have recommended is just lengthening the time in which a developer can break ground on a project once selected, just to allow for flexibility. And again, this is really trying to position the SRA to be a little bit more flexible than initially anticipated in those conversations with development teams, but there are still kind of these key moments for the council to give feedback and approve of any steps in the process. So we went into a little bit more detail at the November 6th hearing. The item was then opened for public comment. There was no public comment that was given at the time. So then public comment and the public hearing were closed. We haven't received any comments since that time. So I did want to just take a moment now just to see if there are any questions. But assuming that there are not any questions, our hope is to request a vote approving the changes to the demonstration project plan and the amendments to the memorandum of agreement that were outlined in the documents shared ahead of this meeting. And then I want to also give the update that these items were recommended for approval by the Land Use Committee last Thursday. So the Land Use Committee met again following the joint public hearing, and they voted for approval. So essentially that recommendation is sent back to the full council, and it is the full city council that then actually takes that vote. So that item will be taken up tomorrow by the city council, but we want to make sure that we also officially have the redevelopment authority's approval as we're going into that vote at the city council. Are there any questions at this time on the amendments? I'm going to also talk a little bit about next steps in a moment after the votes, but just first was hoping to get any questions about this part of the process.
Christine?
Yes, thank you, Chair, through you. I have a question on bullet number 3.
Mhm.
So does that bullet relate to the DPP specifically, or the MOA, or both?
This specifically is in regards to phase 5 in the development process that is laid out in the demonstration project plan. So that kind of more detailed process is laid out there. This phase is called project implementation, and it has the least detail out of any of the phases. But one thing that it does mention within the document is there's a specific time frame after which a transfer of land occurs that the project is meant to break ground. So this is really just looking to give a little bit more flexibility within that. I also don't think there's much concern with how I don't think there's too much concern around this, and there's flexibility there in how the redevelopment authority moves forward. But we just wanted to kind of be explicit in that we're expecting a little more flexibility in that negotiation period.
So I just want to, and I apologize, I read the DPP before the last meeting, and now I'm furiously trying to find it again, but I guess I don't have an issue with what you just laid out. My concern is that I wouldn't want any language that we select here, or that the city council selects, to by any means be a crutch for the developer to use to extend the period of time in which they close, right? That the land transfer, that during a purchase and sale or a LDA process, a negotiation process, they use that to say, well, we can't close until XYZ, and and in your development project plan, you spell out that you are okay with that. Or alternatively, like as a seller who has an interest in seeing the development occur, we wouldn't want to put any, right, carrots to the developer. We want them to prosecute their permitting and their breaking ground, as expediently as they can. That's not to say we're here with a hammer to take back the land, but that, once we're here to solve blight, and we want to make sure that they're going through their steps expediently to remove that blight, I guess is what I'm voicing a little bit of, not concern, but again, I don't have the specific language in front of me, but that's my concern.
Through Mr. Chair to Member Stone, I definitely understand that concern. In general, I guess I do want to be clear. This does lay out the parameters of a process. The demonstration project plan lays out the parameters of a process, but much of the detail is meant to be worked out in the land development agreement once a development team is initially selected and we enter into that negotiation period.
Okay.
So, if if there are specific constraints around timing that the redevelopment authority wants to make clear during that time period, then we can also stress them during that time period. I will also say we'll be coming back to you next month with a draft RFP. And so the RFP will also talk a bit about the preferred timing of payments. And so giving a little bit more of that detail that we haven't gotten into in these guiding documents, but that will be there in the RFP to give clarity to development teams.
All right, so maybe we have a chance to kind of more robustly talk about that timeline then.
Correct. And I guess let me
To be clear with developers in terms of what we're expecting of them. A reasonable expectation of them going through the process.
correct. And let me actually just take a moment to talk next steps also. So what is anticipated at this point, as I mentioned, is that the city council will vote tomorrow on a few items. So one is the approval of the demonstration project plan and the memorandum of agreement, the amended versions of those documents. And then there will also be a vote on whether to approve the development priorities and the program of uses. And so that's the outcome of essentially the public engagement process that is meant to specify detail on what people want to see from the project. And so once that is approved, that essentially feeds into the RFP that staff are currently working to draft. And so we're working with HRNA on that, and our goal is to have something to present to the Civic Advisory Committee and the Redevelopment Authority in December, assuming that all those approvals go through at the City Council. And so we'll have time to get feedback on those documents, which go into more detail on this and talk a little bit more about the process. And the hope is that we can then release that RFP in early 2025.
And I have a question for you. If we were to make any changes to this at this point in time, it would have to go to land use committee again, correct? And that would delay it going to city council tomorrow, correct?
To the chair, yeah, that is correct. If there were changes that you wanted to recommend to this document, my understanding is that it would need to be reintroduced to the full council, re-referred to the land use committee. This might not be exactly correct, but it would need to go back to the land use committee for another discussion before coming back to the full council. And that likely would not. There's a chance that could happen before the end of the calendar year, but also most items are being closed, so that's likely something that wouldn't happen until January.
Right. Okay. All right. And Christine, you're pretty much satisfied with what Ben has laid out in terms of an opportunity to make any, changes or considerations downstream from this.
Yeah, I honestly, I not really, but I don't want to. I also don't want to start the process over again. yeah, because I know we want to keep going here, but if so just bear with me here for a minute.
No, no,
This
go ahead.
amendment to the demonstration project plan will be a public document.
That is correct. So the amended demonstration project plan and the amended memorandum of agreement are both public documents.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I So I'm just reading the phase 5 project implementation, and where I, I'm a little bit concerned is this where it says this deadline will be shifted. Wait, let me start again. The 2019 development project plan notes that during phase 5, if the project does not break ground within 3 years from the date of transfer, the SRA will retain the right to take back title to the land at no cost. This deadline will be shifted, and I'm okay with that. No problem. I don't think we don't want that's a big hammer, and I'm not sure we need that or want that. But where I have an issue is, let me continue with the sentence. This deadline will be shifted to require a developer to apply for permits from the appropriate Somerville permitting body within 3 years to allow greater flexibility in implementation. And I guess my question with that is, what are they doing during those 3 years um, if they haven't even approached the Somerville Planning Board to start their permitting process? I guess that's where I'm a little bit concerned, and that the hope would be that they would start that earlier. And the reason I say that, and again, maybe we can fix, maybe we can mm, um, address that in the RFP. Sometimes developers don't close until they have their discretionary approvals, because why are they going to close on the property till they have the approval to do what they want, right? So they're going to say, give me 18 months to go through the Somerville permitting process. And at the end of that, if I get, my permits to build X, Y, and Z, I'm willing to close then, because the other issue is they need financing to close, and they're a lender and equity partners aren't going to say I'm in until they know what they're in for. And so my concern here is if they're not in front of the Somerville Planning Board, in that first 3 years, then it could be 4.5 years before a developer's willing to close. And I don't think that's what we want. I think we want to, a closing might occur in a year or two or something like that, because the closing then is the event where the SRA and the city gets their consideration for the land, right? So
Through you, Mr.
that's what I'm having a little bit of agita with, is that second part of the phase 5 paragraph.
Through Mr. Chair to Member Stone, I want to encourage you to think of this as parameters in which the SRA is able to negotiate. So that we, in the land development agreement and in any negotiation documentation, like we can tighten this timeline.
Okay.
We can also, as we are reviewing responses to the RFP, weigh more heavily responses that are that are able to, for instance, provide payment sooner. And so that is part of the evaluation criteria that we're going to talk about. We're still refining, but we're going to talk more about with
Okay.
you in December. So I definitely hear your concern on this. And really our goal in changing the language in this paragraph was to allow for flexibility in negotiation, not to commit necessarily to a longer time frame, because of course, removing
Okay.
blight is part of the focus of the demonstration project plan.
Okay. All right. Well, then you kind of have some of my initial thoughts on that RFP then.
I appreciate that. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just that it's we want to allow flexibility, but we also, again, want the developer to continue to move along in a efficient manner.
Definitely.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Christine, for that. Any other comments or questions at this point of Ben on this? Okay, seeing none or hearing none. Then how, do we just, Ben, how do we do this? Just request a vote
Um,
on each one separately or together,
So,
DPP and MOA?
so through you, Mr. Chair, I have language for 2 votes, and just really quickly, I see a message
Alright.
in the chat. Sorry.
That was me. Skip it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, so let me share my screen. Actually, these are simple enough that I could just read them off. So the first is requesting approval to the amendment, requesting approval of the amendments to the 90 Washington Street demonstration project plan. So I would just look for a motion and a second.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Courtney Brunson makes a motion to approve. Is there a second? Bill Gage seconds. We'll do a roll call vote on that. Courtney Brunson,
I approve.
and Ewan Campen,
Yes.
William Gage,
Yes.
Patrick McCormick,
Yes.
Christine Stone,
Yes,
and myself, Phil Ercolini. We vote to approve the request to approve the amendment to the 91. Go ahead, 90 Washington Street DPP.
Thank you,
on the
Mr.
second?
Chair. And then the second language is request to approve the amendments to the memorandum of agreement between the City Council and Redevelopment Authority regarding the redevelopment of 90 Washington Street.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for that. Patrick McCormick makes a motion. Is there a second? Courtney Brunson seconds. A roll call vote. Courtney Brunson,
Yes.
Ewan Campen,
Yes.
William Gage,
Yes.
Patrick McCormick,
Yes.
Christine Stone,
yes.
and myself, Phil Ercolini, have voted to approve the MOA. And on to the next is a request to go into executive session to discuss the value of real property at 90 Washington Street. And before we do that, Ben, is there any members of the public who want to address the SRA at this point? Because they may not have an opportunity afterward.
Sorry, I was muted. To the chair, there are 2 members of the public that are here this evening. We can just give a moment if anybody wants to raise
Sure.
their hand to make comment. And to the chair, I'm not seeing any hands.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session with proviso that we reopen an executive and public session immediately afterward. So is there a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
Ben Ewan Campen moves. Is there a second? Patrick McCormick had his hand raised. I will do a roll call vote to go into executive session. Courtney Brunson,
Yes.
Ben Ewan Campen,
Yes.
William Gage,
Yes.
Patrick McCormick,
Yes.
Christine Stone,
Yes.
and myself, Phil Ercolini, have voted to move into executive session. All right, good luck, everybody. Hopefully we'll see each other in a few minutes.
this. Get out of this goddamn
To the extent to which it is appropriate to discuss in a public forum, I would really like any type of gift, Ben, that you enjoy to just, validate all the things you do for the SRA.
I appreciate you.
With public law, in which case, ignore what I say.
Hold on one second. Sorry, my headphones are one of them seems to have died while we were in executive session.
No.
All right,
Um,
I think we're all back.
yes.
All right, Ben. So the next item on the agenda is any items not reasonably anticipated by the chair.
To the chair, there are no items.
Okay, and Ben, we're anticipating a meeting in the second week in December, correct? At this point?
To the chair, I'm expecting it's likely going to be the third week, just to give as much time as possible in allowing us to speak with the Civic Advisory Committee and just finalize a draft of the RFP before we bring it to the SRA.
Okay, all right, great. And the next item is a meeting adjournment, so I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn. Christine Stone makes a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Courtney Brunson seconds. Roll call vote. Courtney Brunson.
Yes.
Ben Ewan Campen is not here. William Gage is not here. Patrick McCormick.
Yes.
Christine Stone.
Yes.
And myself, Phil Ercolini. We have voted to adjourn. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you
Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
third
Bye,
week in
everyone.
December sometime. Okay, thank you. all.
Bye-bye.